Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shahina Kozishiri. I'm Khan Youth Forum's chairperson. On behalf of Khan Youth Forum, first let me welcome Khan Youth and present parents to today's event titled My College Journey, Planning, Preparation, and Transition. Thank you all for joining us. So before we start, I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate Khan Youth class of 2020. Congratulations to all graduates. We are so proud of you. Now, I am so excited to welcome our Khan Youth panelists and moderator, Navneet Shibu, Shrey Pradeep, Rishi Pillai, Kartik Pradeep, Nadia Nawaz, Nidhi Menon, Anaga Shogun, Naurin Aziz, and moderator Pawan Machingal. Thank you all for your willingness to share your experience with our Khan community. We appreciate it. As the mother of a high schooler, I know how eagerly you all are waiting for this informational event. So without further ado, let me hand over the mic to today's event moderator, Parwan Machingal.
Good afternoon, Khan family. My name is Parwan Machingal. I am a senior at Martin Luther King Magnet High School, and I will be your moderator for today's event. The purpose of today's event is for our families to leave with a chronological plan regarding the college admissions, preparation, application, and transition process. As such, we have divided this event into two sessions. First, we will begin with topics that center around preparing for college and college admissions before we move into a second session that deals with transitioning into college life and other opportunities that are available to college students. We have a broad array of speakers who are at various points in their college careers. Without further ado, I would now like to introduce our first topic and speakers. Our first topic is about what families need to do during high school to prepare for college, such as the general timelines and necessary aspects for college application. For this topic, our speakers will be Navneet Shibu and Shrey Pradeep. A little bit about our speakers. Navneet Shibu graduated from Wilson Central High School in 2020, and this fall he will be starting his freshman year at the University of Alabama at Birmingham, and he is intending to major in immunology. Shrey Pradeep graduated from Station Camp High School in 2020, and he will also be entering his first year at University of Alabama at Birmingham this fall. He will be majoring in neuroscience and philosophy. Please join me in welcoming Navneet and Shrey to share their experiences. You should now be able to share your screen.
Yeah, so basically what we're going to be talking about in this seminar is so each year of high school, so what you should do and what you should what you should achieve in each year of high school to prepare you for college and just applying to college in general. So Navneet will take over freshman and sophomore year.
Okay, so I kind of group freshman and sophomore year together because you're going to be doing a lot of almost the same things. So first of all, you want to begin course planning. So I think Rishi will talk about this later, but developing a 4-year plan to make sure that you are able to take all the classes you want to take, get all the APs done you want to get done. You're going to begin practicing for the ACT and the SAT. A lot of people wait till their junior year, but I think it's probably a really good idea to begin your freshman year because honestly, practice makes perfect. And actually consider taking an actual exam. A lot of people take it their freshman year, and that's completely fine. You have so many opportunities, so just take a hold of that. Next, get involved in core extracurriculars. I specifically use the word core because you want to make sure that you're not doing a bunch of organizations and only half doing all of them. Instead, get some organizations that you're really passionate about and be super involved, get some leadership positions. It's going to look great for your resume, and it's going to be great for your college essays. Begin developing a college list. It's just your freshman year, so not a lot of pressure. Most likely you're not going to apply to all of the colleges you're going to add to your list now, but it just gives you a little idea of where to look at. And if you want to begin college visiting, it's a perfect time. And then begin on your resume. We'll talk about that later, but it's a really good idea to begin your resume freshman year so that you can just add on. Because once you get to your senior year and it's time to apply for colleges, it can be really hard to think about what you did back in your freshman year.
And go to add on to that, so to your ACT and SAT, definitely take it, practice and take it during your sophomore year, freshman, sophomore, because junior year, I think Rishi will talk about this again. So you'll have most of your AP classes during your junior year's time. So it'll be too much, it will be a lot of work on you. So you don't want to also add ACT prep into that, because that's a whole different set of skills you need to acquire. So definitely do that during your sophomore year.
Okay.
So then junior year. So junior year is one of the most important years of your high school, of your 4 years. So so this is the time where you kind of like narrow in on what colleges you want to go to. So it not only is it about like the education you'll get, you'll also want to like look into where it is, if it's an urban or rural community, if it's so what type of majors you're looking for, if your college offers that. And also a really big factor is the cost and financial aid. So really narrow down the list. So make it like a big list, freshman and sophomore, and then narrow it down toward your junior year. So then there's like 3 tiers of colleges, and you should have lists. So you should have a safety college, so like you'll for sure get in. Then you should have like kind of a reach, or your targets, targets are like so which like it's like a little possibility you're gonna get in, but you really want to go to those. So like still apply, but keep those at a minimum. And then your reach colleges are like you have like a good chance of getting in, but there's not like it's not 100%. So you should apply to safeties and targets and safeties and reaches about the same percent. And then standardized exams. So this junior year, you should be like at the beginning of junior, you should be done with your ACTs, but I'm pretty sure high schools do offer ACTs, free ACTs during junior and senior year. So take advantage of that. And so this is the type of year, because senior you'll have like about a little bit less of AP classes, and during the fall you'll be applying. So you really want to get to know your teachers and build a rapport with them to where they know you well enough. They won't give you like a generalized recommendation letter. They'll add some specifics about it and really get to know you. So that's really important. So pick a couple of teachers. So you only need 2 or 3 that they'll give you really strong recommendation letters, and that's a really important factor in college applications.
And then talk about the cost real quick. Almost every single college you're going to apply to are going to have a net calculator cost, where you can just type in your details, your financial stuff, and it'll tell you what your cost is going to be. And I'd really recommend that you go and use that to narrow down your college choices. Okay, so senior year is definitely going to be, honestly, your most hectic year, like guarantee 100%. I'd recommend that you kind of have your final list of colleges before the summer, before senior year summer, because you're going to have a lot to do throughout the year and you don't want to worry about all your colleges. I'd recommend maybe making a spreadsheet of your deadlines, when's their early action deadline, early choice deadline, how to apply to each colleges. And the Common App, I'm gonna talk about the Common App real quick. So each college has an application, right? And so you have to go to each college and fill out your profile over and over and over again. Instead of doing that, you can go to the Common Application, which is a website, and a majority of colleges you're going to apply to are going to be on there, and you're able to just fill out your application once. And the Common Application has its own essay, and instead of you going to each college and filling out their application once, you're able to do it in a package and send it to each college. And so it saves a lot of time and it saves a lot of headache. So also I'd recommend you get some recommendation letters now, because, well, obviously you're gonna want some from your academic teachers and some from extracurricular sponsors. These recommendation letters should talk about you inside of the classroom and outside of it, and kind of talk about your passion and your academic struggles and obstacles and how you like overcame them. Start writing some essays. You're gonna write a bunch of essays senior year. Like there's no way to get around that. The Common Application has its own essay, which actually will they'll release their essay topics before senior year, before the summer before your senior year. And so I recommend you start writing your essays as soon as you can. And individual schools, each college will have their own essay traditionally. And the more prestigious or highly selective the college you're applying to is, you're going to be filling out a bunch more essays. So make sure you learn how to prioritize your time. Then send some test scores. They say, oh, don't send test scores till after you register or after you apply. That doesn't really matter. You can send your test scores before, they'll make a file for you, and then, apply.
So going off that, so for your test scores, so the most, like the ACT, AP scores and stuff like that, they always have like a pay option. But after, so if you go through your school website, or they'll have like, I don't know, depending on your county, they'll have a free, like they have a free sending system. So like it won't be the official record, but it will be like it'll just have your file and your transcript, your ACT score, stuff like that. And colleges will use that. Once you get in, you'll have to send an official report, so don't pay right now. And then also for AP scores, your senior year, you can send them in June. for free for one college that you end up going to and you end up deciding to go to. So play it smart. Don't waste money on just sending test scores after test scores because it's not worth it.
Right. And I also forgot to talk about this, but make sure if you can begin your freshman year, develop a good relationship with your guidance counselor because they're gonna write some of your essays, write some of your recommendations, sorry. So start making that relationship now.
Okay, so resume. So this is also a really big portion of your college application. So definitely start freshman year to build this because I waited until junior year to make mine because you won't only use this for college. You'll use this if you're going to get a job. I had to use one for an internship, so it was really hectic for me to get all of my stuff down from freshman year, remember that and write it all down. So just even if it's not a really good resume, just keep a list of stuff that you've done. For example, community service, your like any honors or awards that you've received, your classes, and some of the extracurricular stuff you've done. And this will really help you kind of push, like make your application more will stand out. So this is really an important factor. So the three main are like resume, essays, recommendations. So those three you really want to get down.
Move into our next topic. It's a topic that involves course planning and structuring how to take courses throughout high school and how to structure your schedule. So what type of AP classes to take and how many. For this topic, our speaker is Rishi Pillai, and a little bit about Rishi. He graduated from Nolensville High School in 2020, and he will be entering his first year at Vanderbilt University in the fall. He's intending to major in neuroscience. Rishi, I will now hand it over to you. Please welcome him.
Hey guys, I don't have a presentation. I was just going to be talking to you guys more personally. So I just want to get like the first like major idea out about AP classes is don't overload yourself. So like, don't be like, all right, I need to get all these AP classes done by the end of senior year so that all colleges will accept me, because I feel like that's like a false like premonition that we're kind of given as students. What I would say is AP course wise, make a checklist. Whether you're in your freshman, sophomore, junior year is a little bit too late, but make a checklist starting your freshman year or sophomore year of all the AP classes you have taken or you want to take, and the scores that the universities that you want to go to accept, because not all universities accept a 4 in AP biology. And so you need to like, you need to be able to know what you need to strive for. So I would recommend first off, like making a checklist of the AP classes that you're taking and the colleges that you want to go to, what scores they need, and kind of match that up. So talking about AP classes, that's universal, of course, for all schools. I took freshman year, for everyone entering in freshman year, I took AP Human. That was the only one we were allowed to take. And it was a fairly simple class, and it's kind of like a step into the AP world. And then as you progress, obviously you have more options that you can take. You need to be careful exactly what you take when. So if you're in love with math, I would say go ahead and take AP Physics like as early as possible, because that's a very algebra, sometimes calculus based class. And so whatever classes that you're really, 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 really interested in, go ahead and take those earlier, because then you have a higher chance of passing, of course, and you can put that on your resume that you send to colleges, and they'll be intrigued by the fact that you take all these college courses and you pass them with like flying colors. Because your senior year, right, when you take AP exams, they don't affect your GPA. In my school, they didn't affect my GPA as much. So it was everything up until junior year that colleges really cared about. So that's basically all there really is to AP scores. Of course, like Shrey and Navneet talked about, sending your scores. Don't, because it's like $100 per exam, and sometimes you may not opt to take every single exam because your colleges may not give you credit for it. So you're like, what's the point in having to not waste, but like spend $100 for something that colleges wouldn't accept? Some people may not take exams, which may be a smart choice in some cases. But I would also say that if you don't have the option of sending scores for free to campuses, I wouldn't send every single score. I was talking to my Vanderbilt advisor a while back, and she was saying like, even if I did have 4s and 5s in all these exams, she wouldn't recommend me sending them to them, like spending $35, however much it is to send exam scores to them, because I'd have to retake those courses anyways in college. So there's a lot that comes into play when you're thinking about what courses to take and what to send and what not to take, because there's a lot of like financial reasons behind it, as well as the fact that you're gonna have to retake them in college anyways. So like, don't worry too much about it. Don't overload yourself, because you also need to enjoy like a high school experience. So don't take like 15 AP courses over the course of high school and like stress yourself out. But when we're talking about just normal high school courses, it's a little bit harder to talk about, because each school has like different stuff. I know in my school, we have like certain CTE, career technical engineering, like courses that we can take. And so I took this class for health science because I'm interested in going into medicine. So I would say that while you are trying to get a really high GPA and make yourself look like a stellar student, don't lose out on classes that you're very interested in taking just because you want your GPA to be higher, just because you want to look like a better student than your fellow peer. I know this year I kind of lost out a little bit on an opportunity from school to be able to go do nursing and be able to come out of high school as a assistant nurse, like with a certification. And I did that because I had this like feeling that, oh, I think I should take more APs so I can have a higher GPA. But the more you talk to people, whether that be advisors, counselors at school, you learn that colleges do care about your GPA, of course. Like, don't get me wrong, they do care about your GPA, but they care more about you pursuing what you're interested in. They would rather see a student that loves to go and do nursing, loves to go do research, like through school or something, rather than a student who's like, you know what, I'm gonna just take AP US history just cause. Like, it's not something you really need to do. So I would say when you're picking high school courses, yes, make sure you're challenging yourself, because colleges love to see that. Make sure you're challenging yourself. You're not taking like super easy classes, but at the same time, don't stress yourself out and burn yourself up over some of these courses. And I mean, we're still kids, and I know we're always like, hey, we need to just work hard, burn the midnight oil, and like, you know, not enjoy life. But I think you need to balance the two of them. And I know that's not really like the topic about balancing social life in this, but like high school courses, you need to be able to choose what is right for you so you can strive to be the best student that you can. Yeah, that's basically like the gist of like what I have to say about it. Of course, if there's any questions, you guys can ask, but yeah.
Thank you, Rishi. Our next topic is about the different types of standardized tests there are and what colleges want to see in them and how and when you should take them. So for this topic, I invite back Navaneeth to share his experiences. I will now hand it over to you.
Okay, so I'm just gonna talk about standardized exams, specifically, I'm gonna talk about the ACT versus the SAT subject test, and then how to be a National Merit Scholar through the PSAT and MSQT test. Okay, so this is just an overlay. I'm gonna just go over it real quick, but you see there's two different tests, right? The ACT and SAT. They're very similar, except that the SAT has no science section, and then the math section is split up into two categories, the non-calculator and the calculator portion. It's also known as both have optional essays. So if you look at the time, like the amount of questions you're expected to answer in a minute, and how many minutes it's supposed to take for a question, the SAT gives you more time per question, but it gives you harder questions, right? And that brings me to the first point. Figure out which test is best for you. So traditionally, most people will either be better at the ACT or the SAT. So especially freshman year, I'd recommend that you experiment and figure out which test is for you, because both are accepted at every college you're gonna apply to. Every college that I applied to, they accepted the ACT. And so just figure that out, because maybe you're gonna be better at the ACT, and so that's what you wanna go for. And so you can focus on the ACT and trying to get the score you want. Second, make sure that you get some practice books beginning freshman year. At the end, I'll just give you the pictures of the books that I got, so I'll talk about that later. And then take an actual exam beginning freshman year, because once again, a lot of people wait till junior year and it makes your junior year even more stressful than it already is. So just start now, or start freshman year, because, you know, the sooner you get done with your exams, you know, that stress is out of the way. Don't panic. I tell this to everyone who asks me about standardized exams. You have a lot of opportunities. Both ACT and SAT administer so many exams each year. So you have opportunities. And the first time you take it, you might not get the score that you want, but a majority of students improve their score each time that they take it. And let's say you figured out that you want to take the ACT, and then you're like, what score should I get? You should go to that college list that you're developing and see what their average score is and try to get there or higher. But I just want to let you know that ACT, SAT is not the biggest factor. All that does is set up your academic foundation. If your extracurriculars are very impressive, that can actually overpower what your ACT score is. Okay, I'm gonna talk about the SAT subject test real quick, because I took 2, but that's the only experience I have with it. But highly prestigious or selected colleges usually recommend turning in at least 2 scores. But once again, it's just a recommendation. But there are some Ivy Leagues that I think do require it. There's 20 choices. They're each 1 hour long, and they're by College Board, who develops AP exams. So they're very similar to the AP exams. And so, you know, if you want to take literature, you might want to take the AP literature exam and then take that 1 hour SAT subject test for literature. Okay, now I'm going to go over how to be a National Merit Scholar. So I was really fortunate enough to be a National Merit Scholar, and it gave me a lot of scholarship money. So first of all, your junior year in October, you take the PSAT and MSQT test. So it's actually just a PSAT, but it also qualifies you for National Merit. So you take that test and you'll find out your score. You'll get 2 scores on that score report. You'll get a PSAT score and a National Merit Score Index, which is graded out of 226. And your goal is to get your National Merit Score Index to be in the top 1% of Tennessee. So last year, the cutoff was 219. That means if you had a 219 or higher, you became a National Merit semifinalist. And that is the hardest part. Once you become a National Merit semifinalist, everything else is honestly a downhill battle, downhill close, whatever. And so once you become a National Merit semifinalist, you'll just fill out an application, and a majority of students will become a finalist. And that is your biggest goal, is to become a finalist. That's what gets you the most scholarship money. But sometimes you can go that extra step and become a National Merit Scholar by being sponsored by a college or company. And I'll talk about what that means. So if you go past a National Merit finalist and become a National Merit Scholar, you'll get $2,000, $2,500 scholarship extra on top of your finalist package. But just being a National Merit finalist will get you a lot of scholarship from colleges. So, you know, here's some examples. You'll actually get you'll get over 50 full ride offers. Example, University of Alabama, Birmingham pays full tuition and stipends and give you housing. And some schools will even give you so much money, like UT Dallas or University of Alabama, Tuscaloosa, that you end up making money to go to college. There's some colleges that'll give you half tuition offers for National Merit finalists, like USC or Boston University. And a lot of colleges will give you semesterly stipends. They'll give you a set amount of money per semester, like the University of Florida. And if you have a question about National Merit Scholarship, you can contact me and I'll definitely help, you know, guide you through the whole process. And finally, if you want to take a picture, you can. These are my recommendations. These are the books that I used to study for all of these exams, the ACT, the SAT, the SAT subject test, and the PSAT and MSQT. And I think that these books were the biggest help.
So our next topic regards opportunities that students can take in between our high school lives, as in the summer months, between different years. And for this, and how this can help our college applications. So for this topic, we invite Rishi back, and Rishi, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So summer camps and other summer enrichment opportunities. So I went to my first summer camp the summer before freshman year. And that's something that my dad and I, we just researched like summer camps. Because that was our first time ever doing that. So we just searched up like summer camps that are worth going to, and anyone can Google search that and you can find like camps that tailor towards whatever you're interested in. So what I'll talk about my personal experience in summer camps and opportunities. It really teaches you the type of campus life that you kind of want to go to when you're a senior, like when you're in high school and you're choosing which college you want to go to. I went to Brown and Northwestern, and I really learned like the campus life and the food, the dorms and stuff like that. I can say like personally, I did not enjoy Brown at all. But Northwestern is a very, very, very nice school. So that's like one thing that you can get from doing summer like enriching programs at universities. I can say that like Vanderbilt has a really, really nice program. So like if you're not really comfortable leaving the state, then you can do some that are at locally in downtown, whether that be like MTSU, Vanderbilt, and I think yeah, those are the closest ones that you could, like Belmont, Lipscomb, things like that. So summer camps, what you expect to get out of it is you take a course, you pick a course that you want to take, whether that be astrology, neurology, it can be like arts, and it's like a wide variety of thing. I remember when I checked the Brown list, it was astronomy, neurology, arts, film, dancing, like instrumental stuff. It's all over the place, and you can take whatever that you're interested in. But I also want to say that when you're going to these summer camps, don't always say like tunnel visioned. And what I mean by that is, don't take, for me, I want to be a neurosurgeon. So like, don't take just neuroscience just because that's the only thing you want to do. Because right now we're in this period where we want to like expand our views, know what the other opportunities that we could have. So, expand. Don't just stay in that one field that you want to be like focus in. Whether like, so again, coming back to me being a neurosurgeon, I was interested in astronomy, so I took a course on astronomy because I was like, that's something else that I haven't really like dived too deep into, and I want to know if that's something like I would enjoy. And I went to the camp and I really enjoyed the class, but I found out a little bit about myself, and I was like, as much as I love outer space, it's not something that I could see myself like studying intensely over a course of like, I don't know, 8 years, however long it takes to become, like working at NASA or something. But there are many other opportunities. So like, don't just like get tunnel visioned. And also, when you think about summer camps, there aren't only just ones at universities. You can take many summer enriching programs. So whether that be like jobs, first off, you can start working somewhere. I started working at music and arts. And so like you can start working somewhere, and that gives you experience on like interacting with individuals, because in this world right now, it's super progressive, and what colleges really, really, really do love to see are individuals that have the ability to pitch forth ideas, or to be able to carry out a conversation in front of like a panel of judges or something like that. Because like even in our generation, as you can see like outside right now in the news and stuff like that, it being vocal is a very, very common thing now. It's like, I could say a couple years ago, it wasn't that everybody was very public, like well spoken in public, but now it seems like every other person is very well spoken, and that's just something that we kind of need to develop, get out of our shell and comfort zone. So I would say that doing jobs definitely helps in creating that person-to-person interaction and developing your speaking abilities. So jobs aside, you can do internships, of course. You can search up just any internship, whether that be at like a local pharmacy, or you could do like an internship at Meharry College, or you can even talk to Vanderbilt about doing volunteering over the summer at their campus. There's plenty of opportunities like that, which you can literally find just by searching it up on Google. And along with internships, like I'm trying to just like, don't get caught up in this thing where I need to go to prestigious universities in order for that to matter at the colleges. Because I did talk to a couple advisors when I was at one of my camps. We had a couple advisors that came and talked to us from different campuses, and I asked them, how much does going to a summer camp help? And they looked at me straight, and they were just very blunt and honest, and they were like, it's nothing too outstanding. And that was kind of shocking to me, because I was like, well, we're going to summer camps and we're obviously like wanting to engage. Like, why does that not stick out to you guys? And they're like, we understand that you guys are spending your summer going for like a month and a half to learn more stuff when you could be home playing video games and stuff. But what they really want to see is you using that knowledge to come back home and implement that in some way, whether that be like doing more research on your own, being caught up with like the science world for me, contacting individuals and like talking to them about research opportunities here locally, don't be scared like, oh, I can't go to summer camp, like, oh man, that's a bummer. Like, don't get scared about it, because it is a good asset to have, because you learn more about yourself. But I wouldn't fret about that in terms of college applications. And again, like, if you went to a Vandy summer camp, don't assume that they're going to accept you into their undergrad school, because they don't really care about that. They're like, oh, cool, you went to our Vandy summer camp. That's cool, but they don't really care about it. But what I will say is, if you guys like absolutely just need to get something done, it would be research or internships, because that is where colleges really turn their focus to. Because summer camps, you can go goof off and stuff like that, but when you're doing like summer enrichment courses like internships or research, that's where colleges really look at you and they're like, okay, so this kid has a drive to want to do more data driven activities. So when you're searching up internships and research, that of course you have to probably tailor towards what you want to do. So whether it be like neuroscience, try to find, while it is hard to find like really in-depth hands-on neuroscience internships, you can go and watch surgeons giving surgery sometimes. That's like an iffy, but if you have connections, you can go in and you can be able to, shadow some of the surgeons. Go sit in on like a gastroenterologist, and you can see how they carry on their like every day talking to patients. Like, you wouldn't be able to interact with them, obviously, the patients, that is. You would be sitting in the back, but you could watch how they interact, and you of course learn more about yourself. So I will say, like, these summer camps mainly is to focus on yourself, to know what types of campuses that you're going to enjoy, big campuses, small campuses, air conditioning, no air conditioning, dorms, food, stuff like that. But internships and research is where I would really, 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 really like focus on, whether that be like certain clubs or stuff that you can find downtown that you can join, or whether that be like just a simple email to like Vanderbilt or Lipscomb, Belmont, like, hey guys, I'm very, very interested in being able to like do this, and I want to take it to the next level. Is there any way that you guys could help me out with that? And everyone wants to help you. So don't be scared that they're just going to like reject you outright. If they can't help you, they'll point you in the direction of someone else that'll help you. But summer course wise, that's really all there is to it. You can just search up like summer camps that you're really interested in going to. Oh, I will talk about like deadlines and stuff about that. So internships, research, that's something that you'd want to get done well in advance so that someone else doesn't take your spot. Because I know each company or each campus, they have like a certain amount of money that they can use towards bringing students in to do research and stuff. So that's something like, if you wanted to do research next summer, I would talk to them right now about, because asking them, hey, in a couple of weeks, can I come in and like just do this research or internship? It's just kind of a struggle. But I would talk summer camp deadlines, like Brown, Northwestern, Vanderbilt, like summer camps, pre-collegiate summer camps, apply to in January, February. That's when all the deadlines really like close up. Otherwise, you're just going to get stuck in like courses you really don't want to take. But yeah, that's about it for that. You guys can ask me questions later.
Thank you, Rishi. So with that brings us to the end of our first session regarding college preparation. And now we are going to be moving into our second session, which deals with the transition process and adjusting to college life. So our first topic in the session is about dorm life and adjusting to this lifestyle. So for this topic, I will now introduce our next speaker, Karthik Pradeep. So Karthik graduated from Centennial High School in 2017, and he will be starting his senior year at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. And he was also a residential advisor last semester, and he is going to be majoring in nursing. Please welcome Karthik to share his experiences. The floor is yours.
All right, so I'm going to talk about dorm life and basically like visiting home and just like basically the college that you choose and like how far away it is from home. So first, when you're looking at living on campus, so most colleges are going to require that as freshmen at least that you live on campus. And so what you have to do, and this is a good thing because this is your time to make connections. So you're gonna meet a lot of people. You're just gonna like almost every month basically. Like when I was touring UAB, they would tell us that basically almost every month you'd have a different friend group. Like every couple of months you would just meet new people and you would click with different people, and those old connections would die. But basically what I got out of that was I got to meet a bunch of people, and that allowed me to so like almost all the opportunities that I was able to get from UAB, so like my RA position, like for clubs, like any sort of leadership positions, I heard from other people who were in those clubs, or they saw an Instagram flyer or something, and they let me know, and they were like, hey, they were like, you should probably apply for this. So it's very vital that you make those connections freshman year, and that can also be hard just because it's like, it's your first year of college, so you're like trying to balance the work study life, and it's a lot of it's really tough, definitely not gonna lie there, but this is very important, especially if you're on like a pre-med track, which I feel like most of you are. And then so the next thing is the move-in checklist, so that'll be on the next slide, but so we'll talk about that then. But for roommates, you will most likely be you'll most likely have at least one roommate your freshman year. So at UAB, if you're a freshman, you'll have either one or you'll have up to 3 roommates. And so this is like a typical dorm that you could expect to see. So like I visited UTK, and well, the only one I can really remember is UTK, but in both places you can expect to have at least up to one of the roommates. So you definitely want to, your college is going to give you an opportunity to find your roommate like over the summer. So you definitely want to try and find someone that you click with and you connect with. So that will definitely help a lot, because this is the person that you're going to be living with for the next year. So you're going to want to form that connection with them, and it'll just make a lot of things really easy, like studying different tests together, or just hanging out, just killing time, stuff like that. And so this is an example checklist, and of course this is much further down the line for most of you, but like this is UAB's. If you just type in whatever UTK, UAB, whatever checklist, like move-in checklist, you can get a list. And I would definitely recommend buying all of your stuff like well in advance and really good quality, because you will be using this stuff for the next 4 years. So definitely don't skimp on that. And then when it comes to home visits, I would say, so this is definitely a choice that you have to make for yourself. So for me, I wanted to go somewhere closer to home just because it would, like, I mean, I like coming home. And I mean, not everybody likes that, but I know a lot of people who try to go like as far away as possible. But for me, the benefits that I enjoyed personally were that I could just take like a weekend and find someone else who lived in the Nashville or Franklin area and just drive down with them and just spend a weekend here, like come on like Friday and then leave on like either Monday morning if I didn't have any classes, or Sunday night. And that's something a lot of people don't get to have, because like I know, for example, I have a friend who is from Canada and he only goes home at the end of every semester. So like all the other breaks, he just stays on campus. So I can definitely see like the toll that it took on him. So, but then again, this is a personal choice. So if you want, staying closer just had a lot of benefits for me.
Thank you. So our next few topics will all center around different types of majors and academic tracks that students can take in college. So we're going to start off by discussing engineering majors and internships. So we will have 2 speakers for this topic. Our first speaker will be Nadia Navas, and a little bit about her. She graduated from Martin Luther King Jr. Academic Magnet High School in 2018, and she will be entering her 3rd year at Tennessee State University, and she is majoring in computer science. Welcome, Nadia. I will now turn it over to you.
Me and Nidhi kind of worked on this together, but this is like intro to engineering. So as Parwan said, I'm a computer science major with a concentration in bioinformatics at Tennessee State. So I'm going to talk a little bit about why I chose engineering. So my stuff is going to be a little bit more geared towards computer science. But some of the stuff does apply to engineering. So one of the first reasons is job opportunities. So there's always a high demand of people working in the tech field, in tech over multiple fields. So there's always like new opportunities for you to find jobs or internships. So that was one of the main things that drew me to computer science and engineering. It's a very broad field. So you have so many options for what you want to work in. And you can work on anything from being a game developer or a cybersecurity consultant or a software engineer or a data scientist. There's so many places that you can work in with engineering. You can work in healthcare, or you can be more towards software engineering. It's easily manageable. If you have a computer, you can practically work from anywhere. So there's a lot of like work from home, and so it just makes things a lot easier. And also it's enjoyable. So if it's something that meets your interest, it's a lot of fun. Like I really enjoy coding. So that was something that makes me really enjoy being a computer science student. It's heavy on problem solving, but it gives you a lot of freedom to come up with creative solutions. So it's kind of like intersects both creative aspects and like mathematics, science, the STEM, all that. Okay. And I'm gonna also talk about internships. So first, why are internships important? So I think the most important part is that it gets you experience in your field. A lot of stuff that you would never learn in school, you learn through internships. And it lets you take what you learn in class and implement it, because a lot of things when you're learning it, you don't know like when you'll use it until you actually start working. It helps you build connections. So when you start an internship, you will get a host or a mentor, and they're always like looking out for you and trying to help you grow in your field. And you'll meet so many people that you never expected to meet. It pushes you out of your comfort zone, both academically and socially. You'll get to meet a lot of different people, and it'll challenge you academically. So a little bit on how you can get an internship. So when you go to college, there's a lot of career centers and career fairs, and different companies. There's some small companies, there are bigger companies. They'll come and they'll show you basically, these are the positions that we're offering. These are kind of the things that we're looking for. And you can go to each company and tell them a little bit about yourself, give them your resume. They'll contact you, or they'll tell you about open positions, and you can apply there. Finding companies that will challenge and help you. So you have to find the right company. Every company will have a different environment. Some are bigger companies, some are smaller companies. Some people enjoy smaller companies because it gives you a little bit more freedom on what you want to do. Some people enjoy bigger companies because there's more opportunities and you can kind of work your way up. Finding the right position. So as I said before, it's such a broad field. There's so many things that you can work in. So finding the right position is important. And then when you actually get to your interview, there's technical and non-technical aspects to your interviews, especially if you're in computer science. The non-technical will be like you talking about yourself, because they want to make sure that you're a good fit for their company and vice versa. And then technical will be like you showing what you know, why you're a good fit for this role. So that's what I basically wanted to share. But getting internships, it's a great opportunity. When I was my freshman year, there's not really a good time to get an internship. Just whenever you find a good fit, it's good. I did an internship my freshman year with Google, and it really helps you grow and helps you expand. And once you get an internship, you can build off of that, make those connections, and continue finding like different opportunities. So that's what I wanted to share with you today.
Thank you, Nadia. So we are going to be staying in the field of engineering and discussing internships. We will now have our next speaker, Nidhi Menon, share her experiences. A little bit about her. She graduated from Station Camp High School in 2017, and she will be entering her 4th year at the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. And she is majoring in biomedical engineering with a pre-medicine track.
Again, I'm Nidhi Menon. I'm majoring in biomedical engineering with a pre-medical concentration. So just to touch base a little bit about what Nadia said before, engineering, you can use a lot of math and science skills. It's very hands-on, use a lot of problem solving, and the payoff is amazing. You go through 4 years of just working hard all the time, and then if you look to this left side, you can see just how much you get paid at the end, like early in your career, and this is for like all engineering majors, and then like in the middle of your career. So obviously there's a really big payoff. Ultimately, my goal is, because I also want to pursue medicine and I want to become a doctor, I want to apply my engineering background into the medical field. So moving on, just to go over internships and co-ops a little bit more. The purpose of an internship in a co-op is so that you gain experience, so that you have this job training and skill development. Also, there's a really, really big hiring advantage. I remember one time this recruitment officer came to talk to us about people coming and interviewing for whatever company she was for. And she had a student who's in his 4th year, about to graduate, 4.0 GPA, academically perfect, but didn't have any experience in the industry. And then she had another student come in who had like a 3.0 GPA, so not the best, but had so much experience, whether it was with internships and co-ops, and ultimately that student ended up getting the job because that student had previous experience. So what exactly are recruiters looking for when hiring full-time with internships and co-ops? They're looking, obviously, if you have the grades, if you have the communication skills, and ultimately if you have experience. And I just have a little thing down here that 75% of co-op students will receive a job offer from their co-op employers, and about 50% of those students will take this offer. Right now, every person I know that has done a co-op has been offered a full-time position by that company, and they are all pursuing it after they graduate. And so a little bit about what exactly a co-op is. So to sum it up, co-ops are essentially an extended internship. They begin somewhere around your sophomore year, typically, and then you do 3 semesters of work. So this could be either you work in the spring semester, you take classes in the summer, work in the fall, and you just alternate like that, or you could do 1 full year, so spring, summer, fall. It just kind of depends. You stay with the same employer, but that doesn't mean you have the same responsibility the entire time. So one rotation you could take, you could be working in the research and development department. Another rotation you could take, you would be working more on the business aspect of things. So it really depends. As for internships, they begin, or most people get them around their junior or senior year, like in between that summer, but I recommend the earlier the better. The first internship I got was the summer after my freshman year, and if I'm gonna be completely honest, I asked my dad if he could get me an internship within his company. Just making those connections, having some foothold into industry. And that ultimately helped me obtain my next internship because they saw that I had previous experience. Again, internships are a single term. It can be typically in the summer, but again, you could have them in the spring or fall and take a semester off and pursue it. And then here's just an average like monthly salary of how much you get paid depending on what major you are. Most of the time, internships and co-ops start around $20 an hour. So you make, not only are you getting experience, but you're making a lot of money from it. In one summer, you can make close to $8,000. And then if you happen to take a semester off and do an internship or co-op there, you're making close to $14,000, which is incredible. And you can use that to pay off loans, or what I do with my money is I put it all towards my rent and work it that way. Also, I have a link here, which I'll put into the chat box, but essentially it just highlights a bunch of different opportunities, whether you are in high school or you're a first-year student or whatever year you are in college, and it just gives you a list of different internships, co-ops, undergraduate research, a whole list of them. You can take a look at it. It's honestly amazing, and apply for as many as you'd like. One last thing to go over. This is something you kind of do at the end of an internship or co-op. You just summarize the work you did there. So this is one that I did for an honors program. I just talked about my internship, what all I did there. Some of the stuff you could do is also at the end of your internship is specifically present on a project or a solution that you managed.
Now turn our attention to general science majors. So shifting gears a little bit from engineering into general science majors. And for this, I now welcome Karthik back to share his experiences, and he is also going to briefly discuss majors in humanities. The floor is yours.
So we'll talk about the possible careers and classes that you will probably have to take. So to begin with, you have to remember that you have to remember the phrase YOLO, right? So everybody knows this. So, and this is important because you're only going to be going through college one time in your life, and you don't have any bills or family or anyone really depending on you. So this is a time when you focus on self-development, and you definitely do not want to pick a major or a career based on what other people's expectations are for you. And this is something like I've seen a lot of people who do this, like a lot of Indian people, namely, who will start out by being pre-med, and then they'll switch at different parts. So a lot of people switch freshman year. Some people switch like towards the end, and then some people switch during med school. So they'll start the whole med school process, and then they'll decide, okay, this isn't for me, and they'll just they'll drop out of med school. And then there are other people who make it all the way through med school and start working as a doctor, and then they decide, okay, this isn't for me, and they do something else. So you definitely don't want to waste all of your time and effort, and most importantly, and your money on this. Definitely choose something that you want to do, something you're passionate about. But then again, chances are in the current point of your life that you're in, probably in high school or middle school, you won't know what you're passionate about. And so take, especially that freshman year, and all the summer opportunities that Rishi was talking about, to really figure out what you like doing. And you'll, again, in high school, it's a lot harder to figure that out, but meet people, network, shadow people. And especially your freshman year, you'll have a lot of opportunities to come into contact with people from different fields. And so freshman year is just a really good opportunity for you to do that. And so now back to science majors. So there's a lot of different careers in science that you can go into. So I was thinking about listing some specific ones, but then there's not really use to that. So I decided to just kind of go with the broad ones. So I want to start with research, because all these fields have a lot of different people working in research. And so you could, if you went into research, you have a lot of different job opportunities there with very level of pay scales. And so medicine, Anu and Nareen will talk about later. And then if you look at, you could be any sort of a biologist. So like you go into archaeology, you could go into biomedical engineering, immunology, stuff like that. And then, or you could go into chemistry, that's what you like. And you could become like we're talking about research. So you could become an inorganic or an organic chemist, a pharmacist, a biochemist, or a materials engineer. There's just a couple, there's a ton more. Or you could go into physics. So you could become any type of an engineer. There are whole schools for that. And then you go to architecture, or you could go into like something very specific like computational physics. But then again, there are just a lot of different fields. So you really have to meet people, network, and shadow people. That's like the most important thing, because that's the only way you're going to see what that job is like. But just some classes that you will have to take more than likely if you decide to go into any sort of a science major is you'll have to take general chemistry, biology, anatomy, and physics, and then you'll have labs for all those classes more than likely. And then you'll also have to take statistics, sociology, and psychology, depending on like some classes. Some majors will require that, but whatever you decide to do, you'll have a different combination of these. So if you want to go into a chemistry major, like you're obviously going to take a lot more than general chemistry, and that just applies for everything else. And so I found these to be the most popular majors as of 2019. So you have nursing, and then you have psychology. So psychology and biology and sociology are typically pre-med majors. So a lot of people who major in those will like usually double major in a couple of those. And I found that like when you're, especially if you're going down the pre-med track, I was pre-med for like 3 years. So I found that a lot of people, it's a really good idea to like, so you pick a major when you first start college, but then it's also a really good idea to double major in something. And I found that philosophy was a really good option because I have a couple of friends who either minored or majored in philosophy, and they, like one of them, his name's also Karthik, and he just took the MCAT a couple of days ago, and he was telling me that like there were passages in there that he was able to answer. Like he had a lot of foresight when it came to like the MCAT specifically, just because he already like was familiar with the concepts that he learned in his philosophy classes. And so that's a really good major to either, you could add that as a major, or you could just do a minor. That's really up to you, depending on how heavy your main major is. And then talking about the humanities, I don't have much experience on this, but I'm gonna talk about it because I have some friends who do major in humanities. So humanities is basically the study of like modern languages, literature, philosophy, history, law, art, and politics. So it's very broad. There are whole universities that are sort of dedicated to this instead of like STEM. And so there's just some of the professions that you can go into. You can go into law, you can go into public relations, which is pretty interesting, which is where you work for like an organization or a company, and you basically deal with the company's like public outlook and like how they interface with any sort of like an announcement that they have to make, stuff like that. You go into graphic design, you could become a professor or an education provider at any of the other levels. And then business, I have even less experience with, but so we'll just go over that briefly. But if you're in it, if you figure out that you're passionate about making money, this is more than likely what you want to do. So there are a lot of careers in business, and it's crazy because I don't know much about it, but I have a couple of friends in business, and it's like they obviously are much more connected in that world, and they have told me about like people who graduated from UAB's business school, which isn't the biggest or the best, but they graduated from UAB's business school, and after just 4 years, they land jobs at like top companies, and they're getting paid like 6-figure salaries, like straight out of college. But it's a totally different set of skills that you need to go into business. So just some I have some careers listed here. And so, yeah, I really, again, I'm not like qualified to talk about this, but the classes that I know you have to take are accounting, finance, micro and macroeconomics, of which I took microeconomics, and it was really eye-opening. And then legal studies, you have to take some sort of quantitative analysis class and like calculus, but typically just calculus 1. And that's it.
Okay, Thank you, Karthik. So now we have discussed the general science majors, and we are going to dive a little deeper into this field by discussing the added experience of choosing a pre-medicine track. And for this topic, we have two speakers, Naureen Aziz and Anaga Ashokan, who will discuss their experiences. And so a little bit about our next speakers. Naureen Aziz graduated from Martin Luther King Jr. Magnet High School in 2017, and she will be starting her fourth year, her senior year at Vanderbilt University. And she's majoring in neuroscience with a pre-medicine track. And Anaga Ashokan graduated from Hume Fogg Academic Magnet High School, also in 2017. And she will be starting her fourth year at Johns Hopkins University, and she's majoring in neuroscience with a pre-medicine track. I welcome both of you.
Okay, hi all. Thank you, Parwan, for the introduction. So I'll start us off by talking a little bit about why I decided to go into medicine. And so for me, really, throughout my entire academic career, I've held an interest in STEM, and I've pursued various different opportunities in STEM throughout high school and college. So that was a really big motivator for me. And once I got to college, I realized how much of an innovative field medicine really is, and the amount and like the magnitude of impact you can make by being in it in some capacity. So that was really interesting to me. And while at Vanderbilt, I also joined the business minor program, and that led me to understand really the behind the scenes perspective of what it takes to be a part of and potentially run a great healthcare organization. And so all of those things were very inspiring to me, but at the same time, I really did want very deep domain expertise on what I would be doing in my future career. So that led me to pursuing neuroscience and business as well. And that's sort of my journey in medicine.
Hi, everyone. So just going off of what Naureen was saying, my initial interest in medicine started when I was doing research in high school on colorectal cancer, and I saw the impact that research could have on medical care, and I was immediately intrigued, and I decided to do neuroscience as my major in college. And since then, we're going to be talking about some of the things that you can do in college if you're interested in going into the medicine track. For me, one of the biggest things was working in hospitals and seeing the impact that medicine can have on patients' lives, and building a relationship with others. And just to reiterate what Karthik said before, there is a huge stereotype of like Indian parents pushing people into a career in medicine or engineering. I would highly advise you all to pursue what you're interested in, because at the end of the day, this is a career that you're the one who has to go to work every single day for the rest of your life. So if you don't want to do it, you should look for something that you are interested in. Medicine is like 4 years of undergrad, 4 years of med school, 3 to 7 years of residency, and then some more years of fellowship. It's a very long process. Hopefully some of the things that we talk about will help you understand if you are interested in pursuing a career in medicine. So one of the biggest things is going to be the academic component. Like Karthik said, there isn't a pre-med major, sort of say. You can pursue any major that you're interested in, like biology, humanities, as long as you're taking the courses that are required for pre-med, which is typically biology, chemistry, physics, biochemistry, English, and some math, depending on what schools you're looking to apply to. I would just recommend that you try your best to do as well as you can on those courses, because one of the things that they look at is your GPA, which is your grade point average, if you didn't already know. And the big standardized test that you have for to get into medical school is called the MCAT, which is kind of like the SAT or the ACT to get into college. MCAT is the medical college admissions test. It's a 7.5 hour long exam, and it's pretty intense, but hopefully your pre-med classes will prepare you for the MCAT. And so as you go through those classes, if you find yourself enjoying it, then maybe this is the correct path for you.
Also, I would like to add that something that we see is really the norm in pre-med right now is taking a few of your career classes over the summer, actually. So definitely do look into perhaps taking organic chemistry or general chemistry over one of your summers in college, and that'll definitely lighten your load during the school year. And then the next thing I would like to talk about is research. Research is definitely a huge component of medical school. Definitely, if you are inclined towards research, do start early, since it's very important to sort of start searching and start talking to people about which labs you would be interested in. And also, it's very important to start early because you know that some of those really cool, interesting labs are going to be filling out pretty early as well. So a good way to approach that is to start with your professors, start with those classes that you're super interested in and look into what kind of research do your professors do. And also just, you know, look at your university websites, their publications, their newsletters. Find something, if you find something that catches your eye, definitely do cold email people. Sometimes it does work out. That's how it was for me. And so, yeah, and my biggest advice there is just to really start early and get a sense of what kind of research you would like. So there are many different kinds of research: basic science research, clinical research, which is what I'm doing, and also humanities research as well. There's really no requirement as to which sector of research you should be in. It should just show that you are an academic and that you're interested in contributing to your field. And very intellectually engaged by things other than just your academic career.
So another important component is your clinical experience. So clinical experience is basically how are you are you getting the opportunity to directly interact with patients? Because as a physician, you're going to be working with people who are ill and put into some uncomfortable situations, and it's a good idea to figure out if that's something that you're comfortable doing ahead of time. So some ways you can do that is volunteering at hospitals, and getting some in-person like patient interaction there. Jobs like EMT, an emergency medical technician, or scribing, which is taking notes at a doctor's during a doctor's appointment. This is usually done in like the emergency department or in a clinical setting. And then finally, shadowing. Shadowing is basically when you find a physician and you follow them around for the day, and you can see what their career looks like, what the day-to-day activities look like, and that would hopefully help you decide whether or not that's something that you can see yourself doing in the future.
And also, I would also like to touch on a non-clinical volunteering component. So this can be really crucial to telling medical schools that you are invested in your community and that you are an active part of doing something for your community that's, you know, very different from your academic pursuits or your pursuits on campus necessarily. So for me, what I did through the past 2.5 years is volunteering at Park Center. So Park Center is a mental health and recovery organization based in Nashville. So you guys should definitely check them out if you are around here. And the way it impacted my journey was to really introduce myself to making human connections outside of my own campus or my academic programs, and really force myself to think about who are the people I'm helping, why am I helping them, is this the best way that I can make an impact? So all of those are really important questions that you should be asking yourself while you are engaging in those pursuits.
Another component is pursuing extracurriculars or your interest. You know, do join organizations and clubs at your school that are of a topic that you are interested in. So if you enjoy like performing arts, find out if your school has like a theater program, or if they have a dance program or an a cappella group that you would be interested in joining. or if you're interested in sports, find that kind of extracurricular activity. If you enjoy writing, try to find like a journalism group on campus. These are not only, they look good on an application and it shows that you have interests outside of medicine, but also I would say it's great for like personal development. You meet new people in college, you pursue your interest, and you can also stand out in your application if you have something really unique and really special to talk about.
Cool. Along those lines, I'd also like to talk about taking leadership roles on in your extracurricular activities. So this is really important for medical school apps, but more importantly, it's a really good way to figure out what really motivates you. So for me, being involved in a variety of different leadership positions over time throughout my career at Vandy so far has been really instrumental towards me figuring out what kind of impact I would like to have on the community. So for me, that's been a social impact. So I'm focused on UNICEF and an org called Effective Altruism that really lets me bring together individuals from campus, faculty, staff, and everybody really to create events, create opportunities for awareness, and just really it gives you a carte blanche to create and explore things that you are interested in, and also manage others and help others build the skills that you've been fortunate to build as well. So that is really an important part of being a pre-med as well. And then the next point that I would like to talk about is reflecting on your experiences. This one is really, really key because a large part of your journey as a pre-med will be crafting your own narrative, your own story about why it is that you would like to do this and what motivates you. So if you're ready for it, please do check out the medical school application on AMCAS and get familiar with the way that your story will be told in that application, which will be really crucial because you want to, at every step, really think about how you're representing yourself, whether you're true to your experiences. And on the other hand, figure out how you should change and drop some pursuits and engage in others, depending on what your story is. So definitely be reflective throughout your whole experience.
Another really important component is making connections while you're in college is really important. Professors have office hours when you're in college. Professors have office hours that are specifically for students to come and get help and learn about the professor's research or just talk to them about their academic interest. So definitely take advantage of that time. If you're struggling, reach out. College can be a huge learning curve, and it's okay if you're struggling. I think that you should just get help and seek as many opportunities to make connections with other people. If you get along really well with a professor, you can also have them write a letter of evaluation, which will help you in the future, really no matter what the career is. The other thing is for your extracurriculars as well, if you're, for example, like volunteering at a nonprofit, then make connections with the people that are there and leading that organization. That will help you grow as a person, but also, again, with the letter of recommendations, they can speak about your character as they've seen you through another lens that is non-academic. Also, a really big component of being pre-med is the pre-med advising at your school. There will be an office there that will, that their whole purpose is to help you as a pre-medical student. They'll give you resources for shadowing opportunities, volunteering, job opportunities, helping you with the MCAT, things like that. So definitely see what resources are at your university, and if you're looking into applying to colleges and you're thinking about being pre-med, maybe consider how the pre-med advising office there looks like. Is there a lot of support offered to students that go into this track?
Great. And the last thing I'll sort of talk about is the fact that a medical degree is so much more than what it is at face value. So it doesn't mean that you are just on a set path to be a physician for X number of years in your career. There are a lot of opportunities and open doors that an MD degree will get you. So for example, something I've been recently looking into is opportunities in the healthcare industry. So whether that is medical advertising or medical writing or even venture capital or management positions, positions in finance or consulting or whatever it is, the healthcare field is really much broader than you can really see at the beginning. So there's definitely a lot of potential to tap in there. And also an important point to emphasize is that Nashville is definitely the healthcare capital of the US, I believe. And you guys have a great opportunity on your hands to leverage some of that, those connections and those opportunities, especially by virtue of being in Nashville. So definitely look into that and not let that go. People are very willing to help students, and you should definitely use that to your advantage. So yeah, so it's do start off with a blank slate in terms of what you would like to do. The field is much broader than you realize, and so yeah, definitely make most of those opportunities.
And finally, what the whole application cycle usually looks like is that if you want to go into medicine or into medical school straight after you graduate from college, then you apply the summer before senior year. If you're not ready to apply by then many students will choose to take a gap year, which is 1 or more years after undergrad, where they're pursuing something else. So if you decide to go down the pre-med track at a later point in your undergrad experience, then it's okay. It's not the end of the world. You can use that gap year to increase your GPA, study for the MCAT, volunteer, build experiences, or you can find really unique opportunities to travel, like through AmeriCorps, Peace Corps, Teach for America, all of that stuff. So there's a lot of opportunities to take advantage of your gap year. And so hopefully this overview helped. There's a lot of points here that you can curate to best fit your interest and your passions. So don't think that this is just like us telling you, like, this is what you should do to be like a proper pre-med, because really everyone's path will look different. So just find out what you're interested in and go, full force into it. And the other recommendation that I have is to make sure that you're starting early for all of these, because if you can show a continued interest, it looks really good, and it says a lot more about you than if you're just doing 15 random things, not at all connected to each other, just because you're trying to like fill up more lines. It looks way better to focus on certain things and do it long term.
We're now going to move into our Q&A session. And before we get to the questions in the chat box, we did have some questions that were sent to us via email. So we will address those first. So the first question is, what kind of steps can I take to make my college application stand out? Is there anything that is a guarantee to make my application stand out? So if Navneet or Shrey, because you discussed that topic, if either of you want to handle that question, go ahead.
Yeah. Do you want to speak, Shrey, or?
You can go first.
Okay. Honestly, the biggest things that most colleges want to see is you making an impact on the organization that you're part of. And that means, just getting some leadership positions. And they always say, you're like, oh, I got to do great on my ACT. I got to do great on my SAT. I got to have a great GPA. I got to have a good, good transcript, but that is not the most important part. All that does is set up a good academic foundation so that they can see that you are very involved in your school. You're very involved in your community. And honestly, that's what I've gotten out of the whole college experiences, or the college application experience, is that what they care about the most is what you're involved in, as in like core extracurriculars.
Oh yeah, especially in this day and age, it's like, so like for example, now their ACTs and stuff, they're like waived, so you don't have to. It's recommended that you like send them in, but you don't have to. So it's like even in the essay they ask about how you like provided to the community. What was your input to make your community a better place? So definitely volunteering. So volunteering in itself, just pick like, don't volunteer just throughout, like pick like stuff that you're passionate about, because that'll make it, you'll actually enjoy it, because at the end of the day, it's for your college application. So like you're gonna feel like lazy about it and stuff like that. But if you find something you're really passionate about, and that will make you, so like stick to 2 or 3 things that you really want to, so like in school organizations and out of school. So I did Habitat for Humanity, stuff like that, and which makes it fun for you to actually provide to the community. And this will actually, like, colleges really like to see that, because you kind of stand out with your academic wise. Just at the end of the day, if you're applying to like prestigious university, everybody's gonna have the same academic track as you. So, and if you only apply with that, you're not gonna stick out. But if you kind of show that you're kind of passionate about things, and you empathize with your community, that's really gonna stick out and make your college application look way better than everyone else's. So definitely recommend doing that.
Okay, thank you. So the next question is, what AP classes should I take if I want to enter the medical field? So, and Noreen or Anaga, if you want to answer that, or Rishi, you can also answer that because you discussed APs.
It might help you to take some AP courses in biology, chemistry, physics, because those are the classes that you're going to be taking in college. It's not, like Rishi said before, some colleges won't accept AP credit unless you're like a perfect 5, or some colleges won't accept AP credit at all, but it is a good introduction into that subject.
Because I mean, obviously I'm looking forward like to the med school and stuff, and some schools, like even if Vanderbilt does accept, or like your specific college does accept AP credits, med schools or like your graduate schools don't accept it. So you're gonna have to like kind of look into that like future-ish. But yeah, no, I think you like she said, just AP Chem, AP Bio, that just gives you a nice background. But it's nothing like super pressing, but yeah.
Okay, so now we are going to be moving into a few questions from the chat box. So the first question is, how much do scores matter for class of 2021, now that a lot of colleges, because of the coronavirus pandemic, have become test optional? Anyone can answer this question.
So I think I touched a little bit on that. Like, you don't, it's like, so I would definitely recommend taking the tests, just because when you add that, it adds to your application. So even if it's like they waived it, you don't have to. I'd still recommend just getting that done, because it's still an important factor. Even though colleges will say like, oh, we don't need it, but definitely adding to that will make you stand out and kind of show that because an ACT test at the end of the day is just show how college prepped you are, how you can like manage college load, and just to make sure that you're a good student. So that's just a across the board, this type of situation. And so almost said, like, a lot of people can't take it. So if you can, or you have the option of taking it, I would definitely recommend doing it, because it really does help your application at the end of the day.
Okay, so the next question is, are there any benefits to getting a good score on the SAT versus the ACT?
I can talk about that. So I took both. And honestly, both are about equal. It doesn't matter which one you take at all. See which one you get a better score at. And I was familiar with the SAT, no, the ACT more than the SAT. So when I took the SAT, I had to convert my score back to the ACT to see what it was like. But just use a conversion table and just figure out what your score is. It doesn't matter which one you turn in.
Okay, thank you. And the next question is it bad if we take the ACT or the SAT multiple times? And if we do, should we send in all of the scores? Should we send in our highest score?
I can talk about that too. So I took the ACT 4 times. And what my college counselor told me was that try to limit yourself to 5 times. Like, that's how many matters, because traditionally a majority of colleges, you do not have to send in you don't have to send in every single score, but the highly prestigious in the Ivy Leagues, they ask you to send every single test score. So they don't want to see that you took it 5 times. They don't want to see that you took it 8 times to get to that score you want. Sometimes people get to like a 33 and then they take it again to get a 34 and then a 35 and then a 36. Like, that's unnecessary. Limit yourself and just work hard to limit yourself to 5 times, and that's about it.
And instead of taking tests over and over again, if you take a practice test in that 4-hour setting, and you find yourself getting the same score over and over again, because usually people just have like they can't get any higher. So I would definitely recommend just don't like pay the money and then take it over again just to save money. It's just take a practice test at home, because those are already pre-released tests years ago. So definitely recommend doing that, so you don't have to waste the money.
So the next question is, how do we go about finding roommates before college? And
so for finding roommates before college, it'll depend on the college that you go to. So like UAB did it to where there was like a Facebook group, I think, and then you type in like all your preferences, like how hot or cold do you like the room, what time do you go to sleep at, what time you like to study at, just talk about your personality type, stuff like that. I'm sure Shrey and Navneet matched with each other perfectly on that, but so that's basically what you would do. Yeah, so for my roommate freshman year, I matched with this Indian guy from Memphis. His name was Ram, and we matched, and then like he came down one time over the summer before the classes started, and then we got like lunch and everything. So yeah, but it'll depend on your school how they decide to do that, and you'll get more information about that later.
okay, and the last question that I see in the chat box is, how can we get coding experience while we're in high school? So Nidhi or Nadia, either one of you could answer that.
Okay, so for coding experiences, there's AP Computer Science that you can take in school, and I know that I think they have 2 versions of AP Computer Science. There's also, like, I know some colleges do coding camps, like I know TSU partners with Apple, I think, and they have coding camps for high school students to come over the summer and learn about coding. And there's hackathons where you can, even if you have no coding experience, you can go in there, meet people, and learn about that. So, and there's also a lot of online resources to learn like a whole coding language.
Okay, one last question that we have. Is it better to go to college out of state or to stay in state? I think a better way to answer this question is if we could get the perspective of someone who stayed in state and then a perspective of someone who went out of state. If that could be possible.
So I went out of state. I think it's just your personal preference. Some people want it to be really close to home, and then some people don't. My personal experience, freshman year, like I came back home for Thanksgiving break and for fall break, and then winter break as well. And I realized that I didn't really need to do that, and a phone call was pretty much good enough. So it really is your personal preference. Some people have like a radius that they look at instead of thinking of like far or close. So like within a certain radius, I like looking at schools within that radius. Either way, I don't know about people who went to, like, for example, Karthik went to Alabama. He went back home a couple of times. I actually had my dad visit me a couple of times as well, because I was like an hour away by flight. So that it wasn't like super far away.
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about staying in state. So as you know, I go to Vandy. And so initially it wasn't really a part of my decision how far away or close by the school was really. But I will say that it has offered me a lot of benefits. So like Karthik said, like being able to come back home, like having that option, like even if you are somewhat like far away, I guess, like is pretty nice. You know, I get to come back home and do laundry like once in a month, and I don't have to pay for that at school. So, you know, it's just really the little things that matter when making a decision that's like that. But obviously you do want to consider, are your in-state options pretty good? Are those schools a good fit for you? So I think those decisions should, or considerations should, obviously take precedence. So definitely do put, you know, other things like above distance, for example, but it's largely an individual preference, I would have to say.
And with that, I'd like to thank all of our speakers, and I will now turn it over to Kerala Association of Nashville President Ashokan Uncle for closing remarks.
Thank you. Excellent job. So Thank you very much for sharing your experience, all of you, Anaga, Nareen, all of you presented today, and um, Parvan did a great job. I'm looking forward to similar opportunity is a leadership opportunity, and Shahina, it's a very good. The topics are very interesting. We have got a good spectrum of information. We touched on everything, and I want to see you all success in your whatever courses, whatever opportunities you are trying to do. And I will pass to Aman.
Okay, so I'm just again gonna give a big thanks to everyone. It was really informative, and myself, I got something out of it because I'm gonna be a senior this year, so I'll probably take all this information into account and use it for my college application. I honestly thought it was very informative, and I hope everyone else got something out of it. And obviously, all the younger kids right now that are watching have a lot more time to prepare, so they're probably gonna be better applicants than us, honestly. Because they have all this information now. And I hope they are, honestly, because the younger kids are the future, right? So it's cool. Thank you.
Okay, I mean, this is Shibu. So it's a really an excellent program. Okay, so I'm just by watching this, then I was just thinking we could have got an opportunity a couple of years back, and all that would have been very much useful for us also. It's good that the Khan could initiate this at least now for the forthcoming students. Okay, it's a really a great initiative from the Khan side, and moreover, Shahina's involvement and Parvan's did a wonderful job, and all the panelists, they were explaining their experience, coming out from experience. It was very, very evident. So thanks to all the panelists for that. Okay, so keep going. So we should do quite often these kind of programs.
This is Rakesh. I just want to tell one thing. Just like to pay back for everything that these amazing kids have provided to all the future generation. I think we should do something internally of finding some internship options within the companies that we all work, right? We are all, when I say we, I mean the adults among us. We all work on different areas, and we all know that there are a lot of internship opportunities that not at this point of time, but some point of time it comes up in all of our inboxes. We should formulate, streamline, and kind of get it to these kids so that they can have a great use of it when a summer job comes up or when an opportunity comes up. I think that's something we have not thought about. Maybe we should talk about it, and just like a payback to these kids, that will be a great channel to get them into these internship opportunities.
Others, I think everyone did a great job, and also Shahina, thank you for organizing this kind of an event. I think this is very, very helpful for pretty much all the high schoolers, and even those who are getting into high school next year and all. This is very, very helpful. I would suggest keep doing this, maybe as more like a friendly discussion kind of a session going forward, so that if any of the kids have any questions, they can reach out to them and have them interact with the seniors. So I think if you can also arrange something like that, that'll be helpful. Thank you
for sharing your wonderful experience. I'm so proud of you all. So yeah. Thank you all again joining to this Khan Youth Forum event.